I know these two are on totally different price points, but I wanted to make a quick video going over exactly what the similarities and differences are between the Victorinox Fibrox line of knives and the Shun Premier line of knives. The Victorinox Fibrox is essentially the only knife that Victorinox makes for the kitchen, while the Shun lines range from being entry-level Sora knives to all the way up to really exclusive, really expensive knives they sell only in a few select stores. The Premier line is essentially the highest quality Shun knife you can get besides those very limited edition ones. So let's discuss it. First, let's talk about similarities. They're both knives and they're both sharp, and that's pretty much where it ends. The Victorinox is made in Switzerland. The Shun is made in Japan, obviously. The Victorinox is a stamped knife. The Shun is a forged knife. The Victorinox, a lot of people don't know, has no actual tang. The tang ends about right here. The Shun has a tang that ends all the way down there, which is much safer and much better built. The Victorinox has the Fibrox handle. The Premier has a Paca wood handle, which is actually a compressed resin-filled wood that's very resilient. On top of that, let's discuss a few more differences that I think are pretty important. First is the fact that this is actually out of the box, believe it or not, a little bit sharper than the Shun. It's 15 degrees versus 16 degrees. But that's not really the only thing you need to consider. The fact of the matter is the steel used for this, since it's stamped, is very soft. It's only about a 55 hardness. This is a 61 hardness. It's a VG Max, which is one of the best steels you can possibly use for a knife. The reason that matters is because as you're using a knife, you're applying pressure and you're bending the metal and you're flattening the metal and you're essentially working the metal up. A soft knife gets dull very quickly because it's much more capable of being bent and smushed around. A hard knife holds its edge. So after a first few cuts, this thing is going to be very dull compared to that, literally after 2 or 3 cuts. Next thing to talk about, this is actually just one piece of metal. It's just a piece of semi-low quality stainless steel. This is VG Max, as I said, and they wrap 34 layers. I hope you can see on the bottom half the Damascus etching on it. They wrap 34 layers of stainless steel into the metal on either side. That makes it, number one, have that gorgeous Damascus finish, but number two, it makes it very resilient against pitting, staining, rust, and things like that, just by virtue of having so much stainless steel worked into the metal. They then take it one step further and they do this hammer finish on it, and the end result is that food doesn't stick to the edge. Finally, they both have lifetime warranties, but the Shun actually comes with lifetime sharpening for free too, which I've always harped on, I've always talked about. I think it's a deal breaker for Shuns because, as you know, if you take your knife to a reputable sharpener, which with this knife would have to be quite often, it's going to cost you about $5 per inch to get it done. And even then, you don't know if it's going to be a good knife that you get back or if it's going to be a horror story, because there are always those horror stories. With the Shun, you send it over to Shun, they look at it as a lifetime warranty. If they see any problems, they throw it away and send you a new one. But otherwise, you can rest easy knowing they're going to put the exact same angle back on the blade that it had when you first purchased it and when you first fell in love with it. So obviously, a lot of people aren't going to be choosing between these two, but if you're looking for a cheap entry-level set of knives, I would highly suggest you grabbing the Shun Sora, because as I've said, it has pretty much all of the benefits listed here. Essentially a full tang, it's VG10 steel, it's much harder, it's forged, it's handmade, etc. And it comes with free lifetime sharpening. So even though the Shun Sora and the Victorinox are similarly priced, if you sharpen it one time, it becomes cheaper than the Victorinox. I'm going to put a link down to both these below and the Shun Sora. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, as always, let me know. But otherwise, I will talk to you very soon.